Hi, welcome to Wednesday Wisdom. My name is Sera Doğramacı, and I am Ice Hockey Australia's Goaltender Development Manager. And today with me, I have Josh Aycock, who is from Canadian Professional Goalie Schools and Unlock Goaltending. Welcome, Josh.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Good to be here and talking with you.
Oh, I'm excited for this one. This is going to be fun. It's always fun. All right,
Yes, me as well.
taking a way back to your hockey beginnings. How did you get into hockey?
Yes, so I live in Minnesota now, so just outside the Twin Cities of Minneapolis, Minnesota. And hockey culture there is the best in the United States. I am not Canadian, uh, although the company is from Canada and our owner is Canadian. So I'm not Canadian, but the Minnesota hockey culture is the best in the United States. But I'm not from the best hockey culture in the United States. I'm from Denver, Colorado.
Okay.
And when I was born, the Colorado Avalanche had just gotten a town. And
Right.
so it's a really new market, really new, underdeveloped hockey market and culture that was really building from the ground up. And they're really small, tight-knit community of not only hockey players and hockey families, but goalies and goalie families.
Mm-hmm.
And because I was such a huge Avs fan growing up, I loved Patrick Waugh. And so Patrick Waugh is why I wanted to become a goalie. And obviously the Avs success in the early years led into that, and just being an excited little kid about playing hockey and wanting to do that for the rest of my life. And then obviously things kind of bob and weave as you grow up. And I ended up playing high school and travel hockey in Colorado.
And can I just interrupt? Sorry. So did you start off as a player, or did you go straight into goalie, or?
Yeah, great question. So I started off as a player besides shooting around in my driveway, whenever we were at home, I would ask like my dad or my mom to shoot on me. And so I would be in my player gear.
Of Patty Waugh?
Yeah, so like cool. I had 5 Patrick Waugh jerseys. Like I wanted to be Patrick Waugh. I thought I was him. So that was the driver, right? Just an inspiring figure. It may have been the gear too, but I didn't have the goalie gear to start. So I started as a player. It was one night a week at a small rink. Really unorganized. It wasn't structured youth hockey. It was called the Police and Fire Hockey Academy. So it was all policemen and firemen who were running the show. And so basically it was an hour. You get out, you do a couple drills, and then you play cross ice small games and just to have fun, right?
Yeah.
And so they had gear available to try on and gear to use, and so that's how I started. The first time, like, he didn't know anything about playing goalie. Literally,
how old were you?
The pads were on the wrong legs. Oh, I would have been 9 at that point.
Okay.
I would have been 9.
All right.
Yep. So 7, I started on ice skating. 9, I got into goalie gear, and thankfully, again, there was goalie gear for me to use, and especially nowadays, there's goalie gear is just so expensive. It's hard to see families try to get into being a goalie because it's just this kind of ceiling that or floor that it's just expensive. So I was super fortunate to be able to use and grow into goalie gear just from that Police and Fire Academy. And then I started playing travel hockey after that when I turned 10. And so a couple years there of just one night a week, having fun, wishing that I could do more, to then jumping in full time.
Oh, that's awesome. All right. So then what did your goalie career look like?
Yeah. So Colorado, again, a developing market.
Yeah.
So top to bottom, there's not a ton of depth as far as like talent goes, right? So I played travel and traveled from, AA and A and B. Like, I played everything. So I started out playing A, and then I got bumped down to a couple B teams for a few years. And then I came back up to A and AA and played midget AA travel. And traveled out of state. And then I played high school as well in midgets, so U18. And then after that, I'd always wanted to be a hockey player. And at some point I decided that I wanted to play junior, so U20. And I wasn't the most skilled. I'll just put it that way. I wasn't the most skilled. I'm 5'9", but I work really hard.
Yeah.
And I worked really hard, and I did my best with what I had. So I ended up playing a few years of Tier 3 juniors here in the U.S.
Okay.
And I tried out once in Canada, didn't make the team, but had a quick cup of coffee, tryouts and training camp, and learned a lot about how juniors works.
Right.
Obviously, it's kind of chaotic. If there's any goalies down there who are trying to learn the United States system of playing juniors in college, it's just a chaotic system. And so that I got in through juniors, played my senior year of high school. I moved away for 6 weeks to finish the season with a junior team, got signed for the next year, went back, and then got traded. Just these crazy things that happen. It's junior, again, it's like the Wild West. Junior hockey is here in the US. And so after that, I played a season. I had hip surgery. I tried to come back. I played my last season in Bozeman, Montana. Beautiful mountains. I don't know if anyone has ever been to Bozeman, Montana, or heard of Colorado.
Add that to the list.
Yeah, the Rocky Mountains, just beautiful, and had a great time. I became such a better goalie in that last 3 months of that season, and I didn't play, but I had achieved a new mindset, a no pressure mindset.
Right. Okay.
And I was playing my best hockey in practice, but I had gotten to the point where really I was seeing how the mental tools fit into the picture that I didn't have before. Before Patrick Waugh, I wanted to be Patrick Waugh. What did Patrick Waugh do? He slammed his stick on the post. He fought people. I wasn't growing up. I was playing with my heart on my sleeve, super emotional, and that showed.
Yeah.
And it's hard to be.
And people feel
it's hard to be that way.
Feed off that. The opposition read that. They try to push you.
It changes things.
Further. Yeah.
It changes things, and then as I got older and as I learned, oh wow, maybe I don't need to get so mad after a goal goes in. There's another puck that's coming in 5 seconds. If I'm still thinking about that one, right? So anyway, after my junior career, I got into coaching at the college club level.
Right.
And then got into my role with Canadian Professional Goalie Schools and Unlock. And at the same time got into my role in the North American League with the Aberdeen Wings, which I'm still in. So I'm in South Dakota right now with the Wings team. Nice. And so I transitioned right from playing into coaching. And was super fortunate to have some mentors to help push me along that path.
Awesome. Okay. So how did the mentor side of things and even getting into Canadian Professional and Unlock, how did that even come out? People you already knew, or were you how did it happen?
Yeah, absolutely. So at the time, I'll speak at the time because now it's we, right? I'm a part of Canadian Professionals and so I've helped to build that. But at the time, I was trying to get into juniors.
Yep.
So I met Steve Briere, who's now my mentor and business partner, and he's the Toronto Maple Leafs goaltending coach. I met him when I was a junior in high school, and I went to one of his camps to try to go play junior, and so fun. And to try to get scouted, to try to get junior, to try to make all of this happen. And he liked me at the time. And it wasn't until 8, 9, 10 months after that we reconnected again at a showcase. Once I did make a junior team, he connected me with the junior team, and then we saw each other in the rink one time, and I was like, hey, I know you. And he was like, hey, I know you too. And he asked if I would coach a couple camps, just help him out, coach a couple camps, like when it was convenient. And that itself turned into a whole summer of camps, because that's the year he got the job in Toronto.
Yeah, right.
So that's the summer he got the job in Toronto. I was in Iowa, and he called me and he's like, hey, I'm going to blow up your summer. I got the job in Toronto. I need some help with some other camps. And I was like, okay, let's do it. It was a way for me to stay on the ice. I was still planning on playing another year junior. And so that's how that started. But then, he's been the one that's been encouraging me to take on junior jobs and to take on youth association coaching jobs, or to volunteer with kids. And he's been the one that I've been learning from, even just from a coaching and mentorship perspective as well. So he's been so amazing and invaluable to me. So that's how I got in to coaching, was through him.
That's awesome. I mean, I went to one of his camps many years ago, as you do on your honeymoon.
Yeah.
Right.
In Bemidji.
Right. It's so fun. But there's things that I take, this was a good 8 years ago. There are things that I learned from Steve, like even just little sayings or tips or whatever that I still use and I apply to our goalie world still today. So just, so amazing.
Absolutely.
All right. Okay. So what do you do with the Canadian professional goalie schools now? So have you kind of taken over most of it? Are you like a lead coach? Do you look after the operations? What is it for you these days?
Yeah. So with the goalie schools, I run basically the entire schedule, or at least especially during COVID.
Yeah.
Because with how everything shut down here, as well as across the world, Steve couldn't get down to the States to do camps with us. He had, and the NHL was running as well, right? Like they had their training camp in July, and then they had playoffs in August. Like that's our big bulk of it.
Right?
Like that's our schedule. So our goalie schools are all summer camps. We have events geared towards different types of goalies. So we have in May, to try to help kids get into U20 junior hockey, we have a May camp that is a prospects only, 17, 18, 19-year-olds that are all trying to get to junior. Then throughout the summer, we have youth development camps. And so my job right now is to structure those, set those up, engage with kids, try to find new faces to come and join our family, and really just build community with them as well. And every week I have a meeting with all of our kids from camps from the prior year. And it's cool to see. I mean, obviously not everybody shows up on every Sunday, but it's just cool to see how kids develop and grow throughout the season, and you get to talk to them. But so we have youth development camps. And then for like our high school goalies who maybe aren't quite ready yet to really chase juniors, but they want a high level experience. They want to train against the best shooters. They want to train with the best goalies. Then we have our elite camps, and that's what you came to and joined us in Bemidji. And that's just a blast. That's my favorite week of the year. We go golfing and fishing and
things I don't usually do.
Right.
It was actually my first time ever actually playing proper golf. If you call it proper golf, we just had fun.
Yeah.
But
yeah. So that's the other part. And so during the summers, that's my life, is life on the road, going to different locations with camps and kids, and teaching kids, and just trying to inspire and be a friend to them as I can, and as our staff can. We have a great staff of a lot of goalies that have come up through our program and are now in juniors, or high school goalies that are now taking that next step, or maybe going to college and they want to help the goalies out younger than them. So it's been a huge part of my life over the last 5 years, 6 years now.
Yeah, that's so cool. Okay, so unlock goaltending. How was that?
Yeah. Yeah, so that's different because unlock season is the inverse of the goalie school summer camp season. So unlock is designed to be there for you, with you during your season, during the year. Whereas the goalie schools is like, this is where you come and experiment and try new things on the ice, learn, develop skills.
Everything here in the one. Yeah.
Exactly. We do all of our ice, all of our vision training all together, mental strength, classroom, video, like all together, blast it for a week, and then we'll see you later.
See you next year.
Right. Well, and we've been doing better at keeping and building those relationships throughout the year too. But that's really where unlock comes in, is in the season, developing those relationships, keeping kids on task and focused on what their goals are. I mean, honestly, some kids are more driven than others. And some kids want to go after goals. They want to make their AAA team. They want to do this or that, or get better, or win their starting job. And so Unlock is designed to be the partner with these kids throughout the season.
Okay. All right. So Chief Operating Officer, I hope I got that right.
Yep.
Is Unlock. Okay. So are you there coaching, or again, is it just, doing all the scheduling and all those sorts of partnerships and relationships?
Yeah, a little bit of both. Unlock is a virtual platform. So anybody across the world can use it and access the training materials. It is in English, right? We don't have it translated into other languages. So I suppose you have to understand English, which everyone in Australia would be good with. Yeah, fine with that. But the program itself is all delivered on basically through two methods. One is our website. And our website is what houses training programs and drills, literally practice plans for each day. Okay, you're going to go to practice today. Here's a plan to take to your coach, just of things that you want to work on in the extra time that you might have. Right. Do you have 10 minutes, 5 minutes as practice is getting started and they're warming up the players and maybe they're doing the overspeed circle skates around the ice and you're just standing there like, well, what do I do? This is for that time.
Is that on the assumption that not everyone has access to a goalie coach? So this is
exactly.
It would take to, okay, right. So this goes to the head coach.
Yep, okay. That would go to the head coach, or even a parent who can hop on the ice with the goalie, or even with an assistant coach, right? Okay. Anyone that could just take 5 minutes with a goalie and spend some time on some skills.
Yeah.
And then to take what you used in that little 5 minutes, to take those skills and then apply them through the rest of the practice, whatever you have remaining. So there's the practice plans on our website. There's the mental strength, the vision training, and off-ice training exercises as well. And then the other part that we have under Unlock, again, is a mentorship app. And on the mentorship app is where goalies can message and video. It basically FaceTime, but it works for Android and iOS.
Right.
So it allows us to connect more dots rather than just only using FaceTime with kids. So it's got video chat. We can put events on there. For example, I was listening to a podcast the other day that I just wanted to share to all of our goalies. And so I just put the link in the app, told them to go to the timestamp, and then sent it off to them, and they could listen to it on their own time. So the app is a way for us to engage with our goalies and to help build relationships throughout the season with them.
That's awesome. And I guess, especially this year, just having it an online platform, it's been good for you guys, right? Like, it hasn't really had to change anything. If anything, has it been even better, because if kids haven't been on the ice, so they're coming more to you guys for what can I do while I'm off the ice, right?
Yeah. Well, that's been, we've definitely tried to do our best to maximize our opportunity. Mm-hmm. Obviously, the circumstances are not ideal for anybody. And so with everyone not necessarily being able to be on the ice, there is also a lot of hardship, right? Financial hardship and just people having tough times and also not playing games. And so there's a lot that goes into that. It's hard as well because really we're trying to change a mentality as well. In the past, how do you get your goalie training? You hire a private goalie coach, and you have to be on the ice with them.
Or you figure it out yourself.
or you figure it out yourself. And if you figure it out yourself, best of luck. Like what are you gonna do, right? I figured it out myself by watching Patrick Waugh and watching Peter Budai, right? Slamming my right, and so that's how it is. So it's also some parts of our program translate super easily to the virtual format, right? The vision training, the mental strength, the mentorship, and just connecting with each other. That translates really well. What's a little bit harder to translate is the on-ice stuff, right? And the off-ice stuff.
You can't really replicate that, yeah.
You can't really replicate it. And there are a lot of people out there also doing flexibility and off-ice training virtually, right? So we haven't seen that take off as much as, the mentorship and trying to build connections with these kids when they aren't with their teams or they're not with their friends. And so at least in Minnesota, they're shutting down everything again, probably until January. So kids aren't supposed to be at their teams. They're not supposed to, they can't even organize pond hockey. Well, I guess you guys don't have pond hockey, I would imagine.
No, we're not cold enough for that.
Yeah, not nearly cold enough. So I mean, for Minnesota, that's a big change, right? Obviously, if you have a pond in your backyard, you can go out, but they're not allowing anybody to organize practices and organize games. So there's a lot of adversity, but honestly, the best goalies are the ones that can overcome adversity.
100%.
And the best, I mean, what am I trying to say? The greatest successes in general, besides hockey, are the people that can stare down a problem, find a solution, and overcome it.
Yeah,
and
the
so
ones that keep persisting with it.
Keep persisting. We're all going to have bad days. We're all going to have days
everyone gets there.
Hate life and that we don't want to do it. And it's hard to find that motivation.
That was not my plans. Yeah, but just figure out a way to get over it. Yeah.
Just find a way to do what you can today. And that's something that we talk a lot about in Unlock at the goalie schools and with my goalies here in Aberdeen who are trying to get Division I scholarships. That's a lot of what we talk about.
I think you just triggered a thought, especially with people going into lockdown, not allowing to do the structured side of deliberate practice, really, which is what people should still be doing. There is, again, going back to Steve Rier, there is something that I still keep in mind to this day is to contact your friends when you don't need something. Right now, you can't be in that team environment, but there is nothing stopping you from just checking in with people and going, hey, how you doing? What did you do today? Did you do any, stick handling in your backyard or anything like that? So I think right now is a perfect opportunity to actually implement that. I'm not reaching out to someone because I want something in return. It's start being selfless about it,
Yeah. And it takes energy to do that too, right? I would describe myself more introverted than extroverted. So it takes energy to call people and to put effort and time into your teammates.
Right.
And it takes risk too, especially for kids, right? They're trying to figure out what's cool and who to hang out with and going through
what other people think of them, and
not knowing what they think of them, and going through, physical changes, right? There's a lot of anxiety that comes with that too. So that even ramps up the energy that it takes. But the payoff long term is that you build closer relationships with your teammates and with your friends, right? And so, that's huge.
And check in with your coaches too, because they're doing it tough as well.
And check in with your coaches, yeah.
Okay, I really wanted to talk about the visual training side of things. So I know with Unlock Goaltending, you do bring the experts in. You have your optometrist, all that sort of stuff in there. What do you guys actually do? Because I love the visual skill side of things, and I have done, it's legit research. That's my sports science background, is doing the research. I have done some stuff. This fascinates me, and I want to know what you guys do.
Yeah, absolutely. So to like understand more about what the vision training is inside Unlock, I'm going to kind of blow up the big picture, because the program that's in Unlock is what McDonald Eye Care are the professionals who designed and created our program, our framework. Obviously, we have other drills in there, hand-eye drills and juggling and ball drills, right? Yeah. But their program they use with NHL goalies who are traveling for the whole season. So their program had to be mobile, which really works well for kids, right? Kids are going to practices, they're going to tournaments, they're all over the place. And so the program with the NHL guys, they would go and do a pre-assessment, a mid-assessment, and a post-assessment, right? So they'd have multiple data points. Yep. And so that's obviously different as well. McDonald's been experimenting with some virtual vision training, but it's a little tougher because there's always some sort of glitch in the system. They're not perfect tests from an empirical data perspective, you know, being virtually. We tried it with our prospects camp in May, and while it was really good for the circumstances, it wasn't quite like being in person, touching a dyno board or doing the reaction lights and having data that you can compare in 3 months and then in 6 months, right? So the program itself, basically they built off of pre-assessment, post-assessment, and then work in the middle that the goalies would take and do daily or do every couple days. Yeah. Because honestly, even pro guys need breaks, right? And so every couple days do these training exercises. And I'm not an expert, but from the training and teaching that they've taught me and how to implement the program, I see what they do. There's basically 3 elements of vision that to become an elite athlete, you need to develop to a certain threshold, right? Obviously, there's going to be imbalances somewhere in the system, but to a certain threshold, they need to be met. Number 1 is visual acuity. And that's how well you actually see. That's if your eyes are actually seeing 20/20 or not, or better or worse. That's element number 1. And so really no amount of vision training can compensate if you can't actually see clearly.
Well, that's the hardware of the eyes. Like
that's the hardware.
Going to have the deficiencies that some things you just can't fix. Like how do you fix color blindness?
Yep.
Right. So there's
you can't. Yep. And so contacts fix that. Glasses fix that to an extent. Yeah, exactly.
I got mine on.
Yeah, I wear glasses to drive at night and to read. Yeah, because so anyway, visual acuity is something that you can't just fix with vision training. The other 2 elements you can. So the second one is the motor. What do they call it? The actual. I'm thinking of.
We're getting more into the software side of things, so the things that you
can
train,
but
right?
It's how you're. Yes, this is how you train. It's the actual movements of your eyes, and so it's they're not actually. It's in with tracking, so it's the actual movement of your eyes, because they're not really muscles from what I understand. They're not really muscles that are in your eyes, but they're kind of like muscles that when we look one way or the other, are little muscles in our
talking
eyes.
To each other and doing.
Are they talking to each other? So is one eye moving here? Are they moving in sync with each other? There's convergence, which is where our eyes come in together. And then there's divergence, which is when they come out. Saccades are the little jumps that our eyes make when we read. And when we track a puck across the ice, if that saccade is nice and smooth, you'll see the puck very, very clearly. But if your eye has jumps in it, so if it like skips,
you're going to miss something.
And it's almost like if you take a I mean, movies are all now digital, but old reels of film.
Yeah.
It's almost like if you took a reel of film and then cut out little bits.
It's like stop motion,
and then
in a sense,
it's like stop motion.
Yeah.
So you cut out little bits, and then you end up having a movie that looks like this with a big gap in the middle.
Yeah.
Right. And so the actual mechanism of your eyes, the tracking and the flow and the movement, depth perception is in there with that as well. One eye could see something here and the other eye sees something here, just because the muscles and the movement aren't in sync. The lenses aren't in sync with each other. And so you can do different vision training exercises to compensate and accommodate for that. So that's number 2, is the actual movement of your eyes, how well they track, how well they move. Divergence is a little underrated, right? We always think like you have to track the puck coming into you, but then on rebounds, if you can't diverge quickly, then you lose the puck and you can't see it and you can't find it. So the actual movement of the eyes is second. And then third is the processing. So out here in the world, we're interpreting little bits of data, small little bits of color that our eyes take in, and our eyes don't know what to do with it. So our eyes shoot it back to
it just sees it, right?
It's just taking it in.
Yeah, and then it's the brain
just
that
taking
does
it
the
in.
rest.
Exactly. So then it has to shoot it back to our brain. And then what's even crazier is our brain has to figure out what it means.
What is that?
Like, what is that? And then tell our body what to do.
Yeah.
And so the third element is the processing of see to not necessarily think, but process to act.
To understand it, to then make a decision.
Process, act, to make a meaningful decision like that. Yeah. Like in a split second, because the shot's on its way.
Right?
Right?
What do I do? What do I do?
Exactly. And so there are vision training drills that are super, I mean, everyone's seen juggling. Juggling's great for goalies. It requires that your eyes take in information of ball position, send it to your brain, and then your brain has to tell your hands exactly how much force to put on the ball to keep them up in the air.
Coordinated, everything.
And to coordinate them in the motion and the rhythm. And then add a foot. That makes it even more complicated, right? So we have different drills where and this is in the Unlock program, basically all you have to do is go to Google and get a metronome and just have a metronome just giving you a clock. Have it on
your phone, easy to go.
Have it on your phone, have a metronome, and then while you're seeing and maybe speaking, some of them have speaking parts, some of them have hand parts where you have to use your feet with a metronome. It's all about bringing in visual information, jumbling it around, and then making a meaningful action.
It's the whole just the cognitive overload. Just bring different elements into it and make it even harder for yourself. Like your brain has to go into like overdrive. I love it.
Seriously. And the thing is that if your brain goes into overdrive while you're practicing, then it could hopefully be mellow in games. Something that we always teach and tell our guys and girls at camps and Unlock and with teams is you always want to practice 10x. Yeah. Practice way harder than you expect the game will be, because then the game's easy and you can have fun.
And that just goes into mental skills as well, right?
Mental skills as well,
right?
Absolutely.
And it's just as important. So the physical actual training of it, the mental training of it, the visual training of it, you make it harder in practice. And when you go to a game, it's like, I got this. This is easy.
Got this. And then you're confident, and then you play well. And then because you played well, you practice harder, and then you get better, and then you get more confident, and then you play well again. Well, and it's a feedback loop. Right? It's a feedback loop. And those feedback loops go the same way the other way too. Yeah. Right?
100%.
You don't put in the time. You don't feel confident. You don't play well.
I don't want to do it because it's hard.
It's hard. It doesn't come.
And then it
comes easy when you get better at it, right? And so, yeah.
Oh, so cool. Okay, so if there were people that wanted to do just basic visual training, just exercise in the comfort of their own home or, wherever, any ideas on what they can do?
Yeah, absolutely. So juggling, as we talked about already, that's really going to fire up.
And that's just a coordination sort of thing, really.
Really
it's
coordination,
not so much,
right?
Yeah,
But
because I know
it's building your processing, right?
Yeah.
So it's building the speed that your brain can process things. But yeah, another thing for the actual physical tracking of our eyes, you can use your thumb or you can use the tip of a pen. I don't have a pen on me right now, but yep, you can use the tip of a pen and you can just track that and move it around. Or better yet, have a parent do it so that you don't know. Because I mean, you can just like know because you control it, but keep your head still and then get your eyes moving.
Yeah.
By following that little.
And it's the tip of it. It's not even like the whole pen.
It's the tip.
Really like
really fine. Yeah. And you have to keep it clear. Another one is it's great for warm-ups before practice or warm-ups before games. Take pucks are 3 inches, right? So just take a little 3-inch strip of tape. Well, you'll need 2 of them. Put one on one wall. This is Steve's favorite warm-up drill. Put one on one wall in one corner and then put the other on the other corner. And then practice bouncing your eyes across the room between the pucks and then see how fast you can go. And that's going to warm up your saccades. It's going to warm up all the little muscles in your eyes to then allow you to, it's basically firing up your nervous system.
Yeah, right.
Before your game or before your practice. Another one that might not be a very popular opinion. Another one is reading. Reading. actually reading a book. Ebooks, I get it, right? Like I get it, but actually reading a book and understanding what's happening.
Yep.
That is so huge because you're building the saccades, right? The saccades are the little jumps in your eyes as you read across a page. That's number 1. So you're building your eye movement. Number 2 is you have to know what's going on and you have to understand it.
Processing.
And that takes a lot of focus. That's processing. And it takes so much focus to be with something presently and block out other distractions. Block out your brother or sister running around upstairs and you can hear their feet all around, right? Block out the TV. Block out your own thoughts, right? You get to the end of the page and you're like, what did I just read, right?
Yeah.
But to really focus and be with what you're reading helps you become a better goalie by building your saccades and by building your focus and by building your ability to be in the present moment. And so those are the simplest things that you could do. Obviously in our program, we get our goalies different tools. We have PDFs that they would print off that have different figures or numbers hands or shapes, or we have one that's called sport boards. And it's literally this grid of pucks and players and goalies and nets and sticks and skates and helmets and numbers and letters. And you would have 2 of them. And again, you'd look and you'd find A. And then you'd go to the other sheet and you'd find B. And then you'd go to the other, back to the first one and find C. So now you're trying to pick up, I mean, in hockey, if a puck's coming through pants or coming through feet or coming through bodies, right? You can't see it. You have to try to find it. Same thing there. So there's a lot that you can do. I would say the biggest thing is just doing and getting consistent. And you can have all the different drills in the world, but if you don't take 10 minutes out of your day to do it, then it does you no good.
I think, just like talking my own personal opinion on this, whenever I train, I always do my visual training right at the end, because then my body is physically tired. It's like, can my eyes and brain still do what they're meant to be, right? Because that's going to happen in a game. You play 60-minute game and you exerted all that physical energy, but are your eyes, are you still focused? Are you still tracking? Are you still processing? So when it comes time to, we've hit overtime, we've hit a shootout. Can I still do it? So under physical fatigue, can I still track the puck? So that's why I throw my visual skills training right at the end of my training. But and obviously in a game warm up and whatever you do, there's the physical side of warm up, and then again right at the end before we go to the change, or even in the change room once I'm dressed, that's when I do my juggling, coordination, that kind of stuff, get the eyes working before we actually hit the ice. So that's what I personally like to do.
Yep. Yeah. Well, and as well, I didn't mention too, we have focused vision and we have peripheral vision.
Right.
Like you could build both of those, right? When you're juggling, you're using more peripheral vision. You're probably just looking somewhere in the space, right? And you're more just using peripheral vision to judge where the balls are. If there's a screen in front of you and you can't see the puck, you're going to have to use your peripherals to pick it up. Whereas if you are just throwing one ball at the wall and you watch it come off the wall and you track it all the way in, that's using a totally different set of vision skills.
Right.
With a lacrosse ball or a tennis ball or a racquetball, whatever you want to use. But it matters that you do it. Just do it.
Just do it. And I think this is something that I've spoken to goalies about before, that you do have that peripheral vision this way, but you also have this way, and that's why it's important how do you wear your mask, because in a game, what do we care about what's going on here? We need to see what's happening here. So if your mask is up where it's covering your chin, you've just blocked out all that vision.
Yep, absolutely.
Right? So goalies,
well, and kids don't know that too, right?
Right.
Yeah,
and the
kids
parents,
don't know
like
that.
they just dress their kid, but like that's not something that they maybe consider. So check how you wear your helmet.
Yeah, and also try new things, right?
Right.
If I mean, I know some kids that would be like, no, I do this because I like it. Oh, well, you might be able to see the puck better if you try a different way.
You'll find it at your feet.
right? Like, no, I don't want to. Like, just try it. Just try new things. What's the worst that can happen if you try new things?
You don't like it, doesn't work for you, go back to what you were doing. But at least you've tried.
Go back. But at least try it. And that's a good point. Even with, absolutely with the chin piece, right? But even with the bars, right? Bars that come into vision, where it's like right in the middle of your eyes. I'm like, dude, just like knock your helmet down so that you can see through the through the big bars. My junior guys, they all have cat eyes, so they see everything, right?
Yeah,
well, they see everything. But no, that's a good point. That's a good tip.
Good. Yes, goalies, parents, coaches, please pay attention. All right, this has been so cool. Wonderful chatting to you. Thank you so much for sharing that. If anyone does want more information, website to head to is?
Yeah, we've got a couple. So you could go to unlockgoaltending.com or you could go to canprogoalieschools.com.
Awesome. All right, so make sure you head to those websites, check out the stuff, sign up to it, because I think what you guys are doing is totally unique, and I love it because it's kind of my background too. All the best for the future, and however the return to play and stuff, everything.
Likewise.
Works out. So all the best for you guys.
Awesome. Thank you. You as well, Sarah.
Thank you.